Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more Legacy action. Today we are playing Mono-Blue Stiflenought, but we're playing in Legacy, not in Pre-Modern where you might expect to see it. So we all know and love Stiflenought. You play a 1 mana 12/12 with Trample. It has a clause where you have to sacrifice 12 powers worth of creatures, but you just stifle that trigger or consign to memory that trigger, and then you end up with a 12/12 with Trample. Pretty good way of winning the game. It's been a big part of Eternal formats for a very long time. When I first started playing Legacy many years ago, this was like one of the better decks that you could play at the time. We've had a few upgrades over time, including Dress Down. Dress Down is a pretty good enchantment here, so we can play this for 2 mana, and then we lose the ability on Dreadnought, so we can play it without having to sacrifice anything. And this cantrips is just a nice free way of getting our Dreadnought in. What we're doing with this Dreadnought is smashing our opponent's face and protecting it with the classic plethora of blue cards. We've got ourselves some Dazes and some Forces, as well as some Wastelands to keep our opponent off balance and just get over the finish line with a massive creature. But if this massive creature isn't enough, we also have another massive creature in Murktide Regent. So this is quite often going to be a 2 mana 7/7 or 8/8, which is a pretty big customer and should be able to do a good job of finishing up games. Both of these creatures can turn on this card, Stubborn Denial. It's a 1 mana instant. It's Force Spike for non-creature spells, but if we control a creature with power 4 or greater, we counter the spell instead. So it's just a hard negate that we can use for 1 mana if we've got like Murktide or Phyrexian Dreadnought in play. We do have some backup things going on here. I say backup. We have Tamiyo, which is probably actually what we're going to be doing most of the game because this card is just bananas. It's the best creature in Legacy. It's incredibly strong. It's a 1 mana Howling Mine that flips into a Planeswalker and does all the things you can imagine. So we are obviously running this and we're going to have a good time with it, hopefully, and mess our opponents up. We've got a few Brazen Borrowers here. We have 3 Brazen Borrowers. Because we're in mono-blue, we don't get proper removal spells. We've got 1 in Dismember, but then we've got these Brazen Borrowers which can do both things. So they can be pressure in matchups where we're not needing to bounce stuff, but then they can also buy us time and bounce things if necessary. And of course we're running Brainstorm and Ponder because we're a blue deck. And that's pretty much it. The mana base, we've got a bunch of different fetch lands and then a Undercity Sewers that we can get if we need a Surveil. This being a black-blue land means that we can sometimes pay the black on Dismember and save life. In the sideboard, we've got a few interesting bits. Let's start with the most interesting. We've got 2 Gilded Drakes. So we're not good at removing creatures. We've already discussed that. So how about we just steal the big scary creatures? What we can do is we can steal it with Gilded Drake and then use one of our 3 Brazen Borrowers to bounce the Gilded Drakes. This is going to be our way of beating creature decks alongside this Dismember. We've also got some Ratchet Bombs, which can blow up creatures. It's also good for things like opposing Tamiyos and stuff like that. What I do like about Ratchet Bomb is you can charge it up so it's got 1 counter on it, and then you can sacrifice it when it's got 1 counter on it. And if they've got a Tamiyo that is creature side, even if they flip it, it's still going to die on the backside, so they just can't get around the Ratchet Bomb killing it. We've got a couple of Null Rods for artifact decks, a bit of Graveyard Hate between Cage and Extractions, and then a little bit more counter magic with a Force of Negation. Tamiyo basically means that you can run Force of Negations a bit more than you can in other decks because the extra card advantage you get offsets it so easily. And then we also have the Hydroblast for the red decks. That's what we're playing today. I do actually quite like Mono-Blue Dreadnought as a deck in Legacy. Now obviously most people tend to play the blue-white builds where you get access to things like Swords to Plowshares, but I think there's definitely something to be said for just being a really streamlined blue deck. Our mana is going to be untouchable. We could also take this a different route and we could run Urza's Saga in here and Torpor Orb, giving us the Ancient Tombs. We could kind of run like 8 colourless lands. We probably would have to up the land count slightly to do that. But I just want to play like a good fashioned blue tempo deck, and instead of messing around with Delver's Secrets or anything like that, we're just going to be hitting them with a 12/12 and putting the game out of reach really quickly. Alright, that's what we're doing. Remember to like and subscribe, and let's just get stuck in with Dreadnought and people. The new year is here, and what better time to clear out your unwanted cards than now? My lovely sponsors 3for1 Trading are buying all Magic cards and collections of any size. They will quickly appraise your collection and give you a fast, non-binding ballpark figure so you know what you're working with right away. They buy collections from anywhere in the world. You can ship them cards, arrange a courier, and they even make in-person visits for large collections to offer full peace of mind. Click the link in the description or visit 3for1.gg/sell-COW to start unloading your unwanted cards today. Island Ponder, we've got a Consign, so we just need to find a Dreadnought to set that up. We can also just cantrip a bunch and make a Murktide that we can find with our cantrips. We're not going to get blown out by anything super early doors because we have the Force of Will. Now obviously there are decks that can beat a turn 1 Force of Will, and kill us. But generally speaking, it's nice to have this. Our opponent's on the play. Let's see what sort of deck they are. If they're a deck where counter spells look bad, then we could be in trouble, because that's kind of what we're leaning on quite heavily in our deck. A Savannah. A Noble Hierarch. I do not care about that. A Wasteland. I would rather get a Ponder going this turn. Brazen Borrower and some more lands. I don't really want these. I'm going to put them in any order and shuffle. Another Force. What are we going to force here? Are we going to force a Green Sun Zenith for 2? Do we care that much about Badger Mole Cup? I don't think so. Wasteland isn't a card that really interacts with us. So I think we're happy just to... Yeah, you can have your Badger Mole Cub. We're saving our Force of Will for things like Natural Order. We're just going to assume that we can produce a creature that's big enough to beat whatever our opponent's doing and go from there. Okay, I think this is a Brainstorm turn. It's a lot of lands. A lot of lands. Let's put some lands back. I think I'm going to crack this. Go and get another island. And ponder. Murktide Regent is pretty good here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fetch land is 5. So we can just get this Murktide Regent in pretty soon. We can probably go like this. And just have many Force of Wills. The first Force of Will probably pitches a Daze. The second one pitches a Force of Will. And that gives us 2 things to protect a Murktide Regent with. Apologies if you can hear any noise in the background. My next door neighbour appears to be vacuuming their garden, which is an interesting one. Okay. They got a little ramp off with their Badger Mole Cub, but they haven't put anything into play that we actually care about yet. This isn't a clock that we have to worry about. If we Force of Will something this turn, we're even going to have a larger Murktide, which would be obviously great for us. And then we can shuffle away that Wasteland on top. Although we might want the Wasteland. Depends what our opponent's up to. I suspect having a Consign to Memory might be more useful though. Feels like our opponent's trying to resolve a Green Sun Zenith. They get extra mana off of their stuff because of Badger Mole Cub. Again, I think we're fine with this Badger Mole Cub. I don't want to get beaten by a Natural Order. So this now taps for loads of mana because these stack. So they get an additional green and then another additional green. So we can tap for 3 mana off of this. An Archon of Emeria. Do I care about this? I think so. I would like to be able to cast protection spells when we make our creature. We still have another Force ready to go, and we're about to make a large creature. Garden of Freyalise. I guess they have enough mana they can sometimes cast the front side of this. Which is like a creature that sacrifices another creature and draws you a bunch of cards. 5 mana. Is this going to be the Natural Order? They can sacrifice this forest as well and it will come back, so they don't really lose anything. Crater Hoof is pretty lethal here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'll be 5, 10, 15, 29. Nature's Rhythm. Search your library for a creature card with mana value X or less. Put that card onto the battlefield. So they're getting a 2-drop here. What is the 2-drop they get? They could just flash this back next turn anyway. Alright, I think I'm going to say no to this one. This just gives us an even bigger Murktide as well. We can max out the size, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. So we're going to play Murktide, hold up Consign. I kind of wish this was not a Consign now. And was something like a Stubborn Denial. Just shuffle that Wasteland, I don't really want that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here is a big friend. So this turn they could go and Nature's Rhythm out something. But if it's a creature that deals with my Murktide, it's probably going to be via a triggered ability. So the Consign to Memory can handle it. We can also Consign to Memory a Crater Hoof Behemoth trigger at this point. They'll still have a Crater Hoof Behemoth though. But it won't be able to attack us. They've got 1 card in hand and they have a Nature's Rhythm in the bin. These tap for 3 mana. So this is 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it costs 4, so they can get an 8-drop. So they can get the Crater Hoof here. If they tap all of these and all of these, they get the Crater Hoof out. It doesn't get the trigger, but they still have a decent amount of power in play. I think if I was my opponent, I would probably be inclined to go for it here, because it's not getting much better for them. I don't think they have... Oh, they can tap this as a thing for Nature's Rhythm, right? Because it's got Harmonize. This just gives them another creature, so it makes the Crater Hoof do more. We need to work out how much damage our opponent will have next turn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if they don't attack this turn, They won't have lethal. Yep, you can go and get Crate Hoof. If they get an Atraxa here, we can obviously consign that trigger. I think you get the Crate Hoof and try and win the game. But Atraxa is very good against our... Like, they'll trade off, but that's not what we want to be. Let's consign that trigger. If they don't attack here, we can just hit them for 8 twice. Because we have the superior clock. Now, our opponent's probably going to calculate that. We also have this Wasteland, which can take out one of their creature lands that are attacking. We're coming in. There's an argument to come in there. I don't think they should, but it's worth thinking about. Force of Will that we can't quite cast. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're on 13. So 8 to the face. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. We do get to disrupt one of these Dried Arbors. So in theory, we'd be on 2, unless they can muster additional damages. If they wait until our turn, then to like play something like an Endurance to block with, then we'll either have a land or we'll have a blue card for Force of Will. That's actually really irritating. Oh, the Birds of Paradise. That's a really good draw for our opponent, because now we can't finish them off. Now, they have Birds of Paradise in their deck. They have the Harmonize spell, I can't remember the name. Nature's Rhythm, I think it is. And they have Green Sun Zenith. Am I mitigating damage here? I think so. Although, if we need to cantrip a bunch, no. We're just going to try and cantrip our way. If we draw a cantrip, we can cantrip until we find a Brazen Borrower. We can't cast a Dismember at this point. But we could cantrip into Borrower. Or we could just draw it naturally off the top. Goodbye, Birds of Paradise. Classic tempo gaming where we win with our death hanging over our heads. Beautiful stuff. This feels like a good place for Ratchet Bombs. Gilded Drakes probably have some options here, as does the Dismember. Grafdigger's Cage is a stone cold banger. I don't think we want the Force of Negation, although hitting their... whatever the flashbacky spell is called, I can't remember the name, was good. I don't think we want Dazes on the draw, so these come out straight away. And that probably gets us Ratchet Bombs and Grafdigger's Cage. And then we have these 3 cards I would like to fit in that we need to find plan. So I think we take out a Force of Negation, that gets us a Dismember, and a couple of Gilded Drakes. What would I like for those? Countering non-creature spells is okay. I think I'm going to trim those, though, and just get the Gilded Drakes in. Tamiyo Gaming into Dreadnought. We're very good against them, like, getting a big monster in, because we can just dress down or stifle or consign their bits and pieces. So we've got turn 1, Tamiyo, turn 2, dress down into Dreadnought. And we're backing up with counter spells. Alright, I am very locked in on this one. Here we go, Tamiyo. This is well worth our opponent's Swords to Plowshares if they have one. They've shown us white mana. Okay, they're just getting a Dryad Arbor. There is a Cradle. Devoted Druid. Oh, our opponent's on the Spice. That makes sense. I know what our opponent's playing. Deck is very sweet. Alright, let's crack this. I've played this Devoted Druid combo deck on the channel before. It is an absolute blast. I think we went 4-1-1 with it actually one time. Let's make a clue with our Tamiyo. We've got Force of Will to keep things at bay. We can Dismember in an emergency. We can also dress down at the end step to get ourselves a Dreadnought. We can dress down in their turn just to stop whatever shenanigans are, but I think this is much more powerful as an enabler for us. Fiend Artisan. How big is it? Not very big. You can have this and we can just Dismember this next turn. Cool art though. Not seen this art before. I hate the frame, but I like the art. Another Fiend Artisan. That is 2 Fiend Artisans. That is a lot of Fiend Artisans. That will eventually get them where they need to go, won't it? Alright, I'm going to say no to the second one. Because we have a removal spell for the first one. We can just get our Dreadnought in. And we just need to keep our opponent off balance for a very short amount of time at that point. Just pass the turn. You don't need to use that mana. I maybe could have predicted that this was our opponent's deck when I saw the Nature's Rhythm, because that's quite a niche card. But it's the sort of thing that isn't a surprise if you see people wanting an additional Green Sun Zenith. Maybe they'll just chuck one of those in. And I've got a land. Here comes a dress down. Get a nice little cantrip. It's a Ratchet Bomb. Okay, I'm pretty happy to see this Force of Will. So I'll deploy this Dreadnought. I will shoot this Fiend Artisan. And then we're sat here with a Force of Will to back up, I think. We don't get to make a clue this turn. But we did make a 12/12 trampler. What have you got, opponent? There's very few things we care about. That's certainly one of them, isn't it? That spell can't be countered. Are we going to get comboed out this turn? It's entirely possible. Alright, we're not getting comboed out necessarily. We could be just seeing like a natural order. Renegade Rallier. Yeah, we can't counter green spells. This gets back the Fiend Artisan. What is our plan around this? The Ratchet Bomb is going to be too slow to kill them. But maybe we can force some stuff under the bus. Oh, a Brazen Borrower. That is exactly what the Doctor ordered. Do I try and get cheeky and Brainstorm first? I don't think so. I think this is just send in the clowns. Brazen Borrower out the Fiend Artisan. Hold up the Force of Will. Like, the chance of us not finding a blue card are very slim. We've had 2 Ratchet Bombs. Do I want to flip my Tamiyo as a question? So we have 2 Ratchet Bombs in our deck. But we need to find a land and a blue card. And then we're putting the Ratchet Bomb back. Do I think we're going to find a land blue card in the top of our library? I don't think it's worth the risk. I think we're just going to get rid of this Fiend Artisan so they can't tutor up the combo. Or whatever it is they're trying to do here. Oh, Brazen Borrower is so good. It's the best, like, fair card you've ever seen. It doesn't do anything particularly spectacular. But the amount of games it must win is unreal. Please don't cast a big scary green spell. Okay, they're not Source of Plowsharing. Oh, really? Goodbye, Phyrexian Dreadnought. Now, our opponent's pretty low. We've done some real work here. They're going to have to spend their time blowing up our Dreadnought here, and they probably get in for just 3-4 damage here. We can maybe draw a land and play a Borrower and keep the beatdown going, or we can brainstorm our way towards some other stuff. We can also have a Tamiyo Planeswalker next turn. We can maybe find us another Dismember out of our graveyard and kill something like this Allosaurus Shepherd that's blocking our Force of Will. There is a Fiend Artisan we knew was coming. So they can make this a 4/4 now, right? Because they can sack this with mana floating. Last card in their hand, what is it? If it's Nature's Rhythm, I think we lose. Well, they're just blowing this up first. And then they're activating the Shepherd. So they can get in for 8 here. It's a lot of damages. The Outland Liberator. Okay, I think we attack with the Tamiyo. Get our clue. Then we brainstorm. We can stifle the activation of this. But then we're still taking 3, 4, 5, which is lethal. So we have to play this Tamiyo and the Stifle. Okay. Which means you don't really get to use this, does it? I guess we can bury this. And then this one. Plus this. Play a land. We do have to play out Tamiyo and hold the Stifle up. If I sacrifice a creature with Fiend Artisan, that's cool. I think they probably just pump and swing. We can block the Rallier to block 2 damage. Then we take 3 damage off of the Fiend Artisan. And this Stifle can kind of be like a Time Walk where we can stop our opponent having the mana they need. Next turn, we can minus this Tamiyo and get back a Dismember, which feels horrible given our life total. We could go and get a Brainstorm and try and get through this pile. Actually, no, because we play the Surveil land next turn, don't we? But not minusing is a little bit sketchy here. Like minusing their creatures, sorry. Many minuses going on in Tamiyo land. Pretty sweet game, though. At any point, our opponent can just possibly assemble infinite mana if they get the Nature's Rhythm. They might have enough just to go and do it all. Certainly looks like they have enough mana to go and get Devoted Druid and then go and get the creature that makes Devoted Druid infinite. We attacking with the team. We're attacking with just this guy. No, we're attacking with this guy as well. And this guy. Where are they coming? Our face. Alright, well, we planned for this. Reactivating. No, thank you. So we only take 3. And we play this out. We know we don't want the top card of our library, so we can put that in the bin. And now, if we play a Ratchet Bomb, we can block here, and this kills us. So currently, plussing this will not work. We could draw a random card from this clue. What does that get us? I think we have to minus and get back the Brainstorm. I think we're dead here. If we're brainstorming, we don't get to attack with a Tamiyo, do we? And we don't get to block with a Tamiyo. So I guess we attack, make a clue. Brainstorm again. We just don't have time to crack these clues. Which is to our opponent's credit, I must say. Grafdigger's Cage isn't really the one we wanted right now. These can go back. We need to deal with what's in front of us before anything else can happen. We'll keep this one that we can activate. Let's ponder. I'm not sure what I'm hoping for here. None of those. Address down. Okay, our opponent kills us if they think about it for even a second here. I don't think our opponent's going to play around anything. They're just going to pump their guy and go in. I don't think our opponent's going to mess this one up. They'd have to click all attack Tamiyo, which I don't think is what our opponent wants to do. I like how we sideboarded. The Dazes do get better on the draw, on the play, sorry. But then we also have the problem of, do we actually get to convert these, or are they just going to have like a bunch of mana dorks and things like that? I think I'm just going to keep it as is. I think we have a lot of good tools, like Grafdigger's Cage is really good here. A Ratchet Bomb can smash up a bunch of their guys. The Gilded Drake can take like the one big thing we care about, like the Fiend Artisan or whatever. I can't keep this hand. This Undercity Sewers is no good. Okay, I'll keep this one. What are we pitching? Probably this. And I can just play out an island. We can do a whole array of different things here. I kind of want to brainstorm and just set up this Dreadnought on turn 2. And just try and get our opponent as quick as possible. It's not the maximum use of a brainstorm, but I think I'm going to do it. Okay, I don't think we need another dress down. I'll put the land on top here. Got the island off of here so we can get rid of that other dress down. Phyrexian Dreadnought. Trigger on the stack. Hit the trigger. We have a turn 2 12-12 trampler with Force of Will backup. We can also use a dress down on our opponent's turn to shut some stuff off on the following turn. We might have to make a decision as to whether or not we'd prefer to have a brainstorm or a dress down as our next thing that we cast. Because one of them has to go into the Force of Will. Potentially this turn. Seam Rip. No thank you. I prefer a brainstorm or a dress down. This is going to draw us an additional card. This is going to see more cards. I'm going to pitch the brainstorm. Some of the things that beat us are going to be creatures, and we can just turn them off. Fiend Artisan, you got it. This is activate only as a sorcery, right? Huh. Don't mind if I do. 12. I think our best play here is to turn off their creatures in our end step. Because this is activate only as a sorcery, right? Yeah, so if we go dress down now, they're not going to have any mana from this Noble Hierarch. They're not going to have... Oh, and we drew the Force of Will, which is what I was about to say. We can also draw a blue card. All right, I think we've just absolutely done our opponent here. Imagine playing Delver of Secrets when you can play a 12-12. For the record, I do actually love Delver of Secrets and played thousands upon thousands of games with classic Rug Delver with Nimble Mongoose and Delver of Secrets. All right, we managed to get the game and the match. The second one was a little bit close. Our opponent had the right stuff and didn't quite get there for us, but pretty cool. Our opponent never assembled the combo. I'm pretty sure they have the combo when we saw the Nature's Rhythm and the Devoted Druid. If you're unfamiliar with that, what happens is you use a Devoted Druid an infinite amount of times if you have a thing that stops +1/+1 counters being put on it, and there's like Vizier of Remedies and stuff like that, and I think it turns it into a vehicle, so that works as well. And then you just make infinite mana, and then you go and get a Walking Ballista or whatever to kill. Alright, 1-0, let's go to the second round. Island Ponder Keep. That seems like a reasonable thing to do here. We have half of our combo, and we have a little bit of interaction in these Dazes. I'm willing to keep this one and see how it pans out. Our opponent's gone down to 5 cards. Lion's Eye Diamond. We might not be getting to keep our hand. What flavour of Lion's Eye Diamond deck are we? Gamble. Could be Epic Storm. We might get a fresh hand here. Is this Dark Ritual? Oh, just playing everything out. Interesting. I think we're just going to go Shields down and Ponder here. Brazen Borrower, Tamiyo. I don't really want the second Tamiyo. I'll take the first Tamiyo. And I'll keep a Borrower as well. Then we can just untap and hold up double Daze and Consign with Tamiyo slowly accruing us card advantage. Yep, so they bricked that one turn. They didn't have that many hits, so I think I was pretty confident that we could survive that. Let's grab ourselves another island and shuffle away that second Tamiyo. And then next turn, if we don't need to, we can just Brazen Borrower and get another threat in. The Dazes might not hold back the floodgates particularly well. We're going to see some sort of Surveil land here. It's an Undercity Sewers. So this does look like the Epic Storm rather than the Epic Gamble. The Epic Gamble tends to be just blue-red and maybe can splash a little bit. But seeing the Dark Ritual and the Undercity Sewers. A Burning Wish. How do we interact with this Burning Wish? I think if we Daze this, they pay here. Okay, I think we just have to let this one go. Not ideal. We're probably just getting a whole new hand is what's actually happening. There's the Echo of Eons. I think we just have to get a new 7 and hope it's good. Okay, this is a pretty good 7. Our Tamiyo is going to flip. Dismember is pretty bad here, obviously. But the Force of Will is relevant. And now we have this ticking up to victory. Our opponent has a whole grip full of cards. This is the Verdant Catcoon, so this can go and get them a green source, which allows them to Veil of Summer. Okay, they did not get the green source of Veil of Summer. Brainstorm, you've got it. We've got a Lotus Petal here. I don't think that's where we're pointing our Force of Will. A Mox Opal, 4 cards left in their hand. Are we going to get a pinch point is the question. Are we going to get Thoughtseize here? A Burning Wish. This could get a Thoughtseize. If it gets a Thoughtseize, then we're kind of toast anyway. I think we just have to let this go. Okay, they did get the Thoughtseize. But they're not playing it this turn. That's interesting. I'll plus this. I'll cast a Ponder. Dreadnought, a Murktide Regent, and another Dreadnought. I don't think we need these things. I think we just need to shuffle. We're looking for more interaction. Brainstorm. Our opponent's probably going to go next turn. So maybe we want to Brainstorm now. Okay, second Force of Will is certainly not unwelcome. We'll put this Dismember back. And this Undercity Sewers is fine. Got 8 cards in hand. I could shuffle those away and ponder looking for even more interaction, but we already have Force of Will blue card twice. I think I'm just going to attack my opponent's mana base here. They have 1 red source. They have the Mox Opal. It's going to be difficult for this to actually matter, but I think we'll take it out still. And hope that we can now survive the single Thoughtseize. Yep, we knew this was coming. So we could have Thoughtseize the Burning Wish. Sorry, Force of Will the Burning Wish. There's an argument to Force of Willing here, but if we Force of Will here, it means that this second Force of Will will leave us with no action, whereas this way we have a Ponder left over. Because I'm going to take one of the forces, that leaves us with a Ponder. We get some good tools out of the sideboard for this. We have Grafdigger's Cage, and we have a Force of Negation. And we got the Ratchet Bomb can sweep up all the stuff they play out quite nicely. And I don't hate the Pyroblast here for the Burning Wish. It doesn't have many targets, so it might only be a one-off that we bring in. But there's still a fair bit of this game left to go. Our opponent doesn't have it, otherwise they would have selected a lot quicker with this Thoughtseize. So now they're trying to navigate how they get through what we've got. They've got a few turns before the Tamiyo pops. They took a Force of Will, as expected. Another Burning Wish. I think we let this one go, again, like we did before. I don't think they're going to have another Thoughtseize. They could do. They do have another Thoughtseize. They're using it now. Okay. Can you go? So Force of Willing that is the same as letting it go through. Except this way it taxes our opponent an additional point of mana. Now we get to draw up our hand again, and maybe it's going to have some counter magic in. It does have some counter magic in, but not great counter magic. I think our opponent probably gets through us here. But we are a Stifle deck. So our matchup here should be very good on the whole. Oh, we get to turn. That's fantastic news. Plus this. I think I'm going to cast a Ponder. I will take them in this order. So we have the Brazen Borrower for next turn. And the Force of Will just go straight to our hand now. And then I think that means we are... We could Wasteland here and just take our opponent off a mana source. Or we could go and get a land here. And then use that land to possibly cast more stuff that comes around again. I think I'm just going to Wasteland and take my opponent off of a little bit of mana though. Take the Underground Sea. I don't really want to put the Undercity Sewers back in the deck, because if they wheel it again, it can be annoying for us that they get the Surveil that they want. So we have 2 Force Spikes and a Force of Will here. We can use all of them, but I would rather not use... I guess we're about to pop Tamiyo in a couple of turns. We should be okay. Brainstorm, that's okay with me. If we find a good spot for the Stubborn Denial where it will cost them a Lotus Petal to pay for something, we might do it. because them losing Lotus Petals can impact their Metalcraft overall. So if they're just doing like a setup spell, so if they cast, I don't know, if they cast a Burning Wish here, we can make them lose both their petals. We can also bounce a Chrome Mox at some point, although I'm sure they're going to have material to put into the Chrome Mox. I don't think that's a winning line, but it's something we are allowed to do next turn if we want to. We've got a Thoughtseize coming in, have we? What am I going to do about it? Am I going to tax these petals? I don't think so. I think we just have to let this go. Because if they wheel us into a new hand that has Consign or Stifle in, I would rather have this 1 mana up than just maybe taxing our opponent, tapping their Mox Opal. I think it just works out better for us in the long run if we just hold on to this blue source. They got rid of the Force of Will. Can they win through what we have here? Probably. Another land. It's interesting I didn't play the land before casting that spell, because they could have had mana to pay around a Daze. Okay. I hope we're wheeling rather than just killing me right now. Like a Beseech line is devastating for us. They only have 2 echoes left because one of the echoes is the one from their sideboard. Chromox, this is going to put them down to 2 cards in hand. If they have a Beseech, they can just Beseech chain their way to victory here. Looks like a Beseech one. We can force them to crack this Lion's Eye Diamond. I don't think it matters though. I think our opponent just has us here. They've navigated this one quite nicely. I wasn't expecting the second Thoughtseize in the sideboard. I guess I just have them in the sideboard and not in the main for game 1. Okay, they're just doing a Beseech chain. We can't even make them pay here because they have so much mana. I don't think we have a way to win this one. Guys will, they just get to replay all this. And I believe our opponent can string that one together. Not going to make them waste their time. It's a pretty clean line for them. Okay, unfortunate to lose that one, but I think our matchup should be very good here. We got Null Rods, Ratchet Bombs, we got this, we got these. You could bring in Surgical Extractions if you want to. So all of these things are available to us. We definitely don't want Dismember, that can get out of here. Maybe don't want the Ratchet Bombs. It's good at sweeping out other stuff, but the Null Rod kind of does the same thing, but better. So we'll have the Null Rods in. And the Cage. Borrowers, we don't really need those. So they can come out. Although, I guess we're not going to be using our Stifles as much to make Dreadnoughts. So maybe some Dreadnoughts and Dress Downs come out. And then, do we even need these Surgical Extractions? I think I'd rather have some Borrowers in. We could just be off the Dreadnought plan altogether. Just go in, have a couple more Borrowers. And then we could have some Surgicals. Which is like a nice little hedge to strip out the best stuff they have. Like, Tamiyo will win a game at some point on its own. The Brazen Borrowers being a flash threat is really big because we can just hold up interaction. If we don't need it, we make a guy. What are we doing here? Okay, we can keep this, I guess. Seems pretty good. Probably just play land pass. So we could have saved for a Surveil land there instead. I just don't want to get randomly jammed up here. Don't know if they've seen our Consign to memory yet. Alright, they did nothing on turn 1. Am I going to Velocity Brainstorm? If we can find... Okay, we found some lands. Do I want to play a Tamiyo out now? Or do I want to hold up maximum interaction? I think we're going to hold up maximum interaction this turn. Then we can get Surveil land this turn around. I'm glad we did that Brainstorm on turn 1. Just sort of set us up a little bit. If we bricked on lands, it could be a bit awkward. Chromox. Sure. I could stifle the imprint trigger. I'm not going to. A defense grid. Well, I don't like that one very much. No defense grid, eh? This not being consigned is awkward for us. I'm pretty sure I bought it out of Dismember. Did I put the wrong pile in? No, I didn't put the wrong pile in. I'm so sure I bought it out of Dismember. Okay. Okay, I think we're going Tamiyo, Brainstorm, and we're trying to try and play something like a Grafdigger's Cage, if we can find it. Not a Grafdigger's Cage. Okay. The cards don't really help us out very much, do they? This, and we're going to wasteland our opponent's land because it's an interaction we have. Next turn, we can cast a Daze by paying 3 and bouncing a land. Is Daze going to be particularly good interaction for our opponent? Probably not. Here it comes. They know we don't have anything because they have a defense grid, so I guess we just let Jesus take the wheel, I suppose. Alright, we've got a Mox Opal coming down with the Beseech imprinted. So probably going to go for Beseech, do a little Beseech chain. So we would have stopped this with a Grafdigger's Cage if they're going for that line. I don't think their Storm is enough to go for any other line, so it's going to have to be a Guy's Will. I guess they could just try and wheel. That also works. They can just Beseech without bargaining, get the Echo and go that way. It looks like they're casting it with bargain. So this is Storm count 5. So then they bargain. Okay, they're just going for Guy's Will now. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that looks pretty clean to me. Yeah, the defense grid bodied us pretty hard. I would have backed us to win that matchup 9 times out of 10. But sometimes it is that one time. Like, we're a main deck Stifle and Consign deck. We should be okay into this matchup. But our opponent navigated that really well, especially the first game. Alright, on to round number 3. Turn 1 Tamiyo, but then we're stuck with 5 lands. Is that 5 lands is too many? I think we can mulligan this. Deck? Why are you doing this to me? Let's mulligan again. Okay. Get rid of one of these lands. Dress downs can just recycle us. Do we need this Wasteland? Potentially. I think we can throw away a Flooded Strand. We can use the Wasteland for mana, and that's also fine. Let's go and get ourselves an island here. Get a Ponder in. I like the Brainstorm a lot, obviously. I'm going to put the Brainstorm on top so it can't be thought seized out of our hand. Then we can bin off one of these dress downs, hopefully. What flavour of Volcanic Island deck are we? Could be Show and Tell, Omni Show, or it could be some sort of Delver variant. If it's a Delver variant and they're not leading off with a threat, that's good news for us. We have the option of just wastelanding our opponent and seeing how that goes for us. Honestly, I quite like that. We're already behind on resources. We're on the play with 5 cards. If we can find a way to make this a bit of a non-game, then I'll take it. Now, if they're a Show and Tell deck and they were relying on that to get them to Show and Tell on turn 2, we could have taken that out from underneath them. Okay, so now we know what we're up against. It's just a little guy. Murktide Regent, that is not a little guy. I don't think I'm playing Wasteland this turn. I don't think I am. So I'm going to play this one and Brainstorm. We can at least Daze to convert this into a real card if we need to. There is the Wasteland that we... Okay, so we don't need this. The Daze is okay, actually. Are we just off of these dress downs? This can get Surveil land if we want. Or we can draw one of the dress downs and then shuffle if we think it's going to be useful. We have a Murktide Regent next turn. A Brainstorm. You got it. I want to use this Daze to protect my Murktide. Because they're going to struggle to deal with it once it's in play. It's just like a couple of Borrowers that can deal with it. Although I'd like it to be a little bit larger. So maybe we Brainstorm end step just to make the Murktide larger for our next turn. I can see that. That gives us a little bit more juice. We could Surveil and try and like guarantee it being bigger that way, but it's not as much of a guarantee as Brainstorm because this will definitely go into the graveyard. So I think I'm going to do an end of turn Brainstorm here. Delver. Okay, I'm going to crack this and Brainstorm. I don't think I'm interested in fighting over the Delver, but I would like to Brainstorm and have full information first. It's not a bad little follow-up, is it? So I guess we go this on top. This on top. You can have a Delver. And we get to make a 6/6, which will still die to an Unholy Heat, unfortunately. So we play this one out. Then we cast our Murktide. I think if this resolves, we then Wasteland, so our Daze in our hand is better at protecting the Murktide. Are we flipping the Delver? We are. What do they find? A Lightning Bolt. That means they can point a Lightning Bolt into our Murktide so that they can trade 2 cards for it. The Wasteland is completely dead against us. It's also not a red source. A Petty Theft. Targeting our poor defenseless friend. Okay, I'll let you Surveil first and then we'll go for our Daze. I don't want them knowing that their thing isn't resolving. So now they just lose their guide for sure here. They could have played around Daze. Alright, I will block the one that doesn't have to attack so we can get the other one next turn. That seems correct to me. They missed on red mana source, so we're just going to Wasteland them again. And enjoy that. I think they would have played a coloured source if they had one here. Goodbye Volcanic Island. That's 3 of their Volcanic Islands down in their entire deck. We're not going to attack, we're just going to take this free chomping of this Dragon's Rage Channeler. If they happen to find this colored source here that allows them to Lightning Bolt our Murktide, and they're at least trading 2 for 1 into the Murktide, then we can try and untap and jam a Phyrexian Dreadnought down their throat. And there ain't no Unholy Heats killing Phyrexian Dreadnought, I tell you that. Alright, they've just had enough. Beautiful stuff. Who needs all these other colours? Alright. I like Gilded Drake to an extent here. I don't really want to be on the counter spells as much. These are kind of interesting. Do we just... I don't think we come completely off of what we're doing here. Dazes aren't as good on the draw. We're at least taking 2 of them out. Probably taking them all out, to be honest. We can certainly wiggle into spots where they're okay. But I think I'd rather just have this selection of things. Oh, what? Hydroblast. I need the Hydroblast in. Let me put the Hydroblast in. Please. Magic Online, don't crash. Okay, we didn't get the Hydroblast in time. Ugh. Awkward. Okay, this hand is fine though. We can make Dreadnoughts. We can also kill their big thing. Or why not kill it? But we can bounce stuff and steal stuff. We can do the combo that I mentioned at the top where we Gilded Drake something, then bounce our own Gilded Drake. Which is pure filth and I love it. I don't know if I want to be getting Surveil lands. I think I'm just going to be playing on basic lands for the foreseeable. But we'll leave this fetch land in hand just in case we change our mind later on. Resolving this stress down is going to be huge news if we can do that, because then we just get to dump a couple of Dreadnoughts in. Pyroblast is a card that our opponent's probably going to be doing stuff with out of their sideboard. Wish we had our Hydroblast in. So be it though. Polluted Delta. We're going to see a Delver? No, just a Ponder. This is what we like to see. Just keeping it chill. They shuffle off that Ponder as well. That stinky Undercity Sewers we didn't want. I don't really want to fire this off now. So we could play this so that we can play the Dress Down around a Daze later. They probably don't have Force Wheels. They will have Pyroblast. I think I'm okay to play this out this way. And if our opponent gives us a window, we can attempt it because we have other stuff to do anyway. We can still be doing like Gilded Drake, Brazen Borrower nonsense. There is a Channeler. I'm not going to play into the Pyroblast here. Another Dress Down. That does change things, doesn't it? I'm going to fetch first. And then I'm going to Surveil. A Tamiyo. Tamiyo is pretty strong. I think that's a pretty good backup plan if our Dress Down doesn't work. If we can just play 2 Dreadnoughts, our opponent's going to have a real bad time. A Wasteland. Yeah? It's the only hit in our deck, apart from our other Wastelands. We kind of have the mana we need to do stuff already. A Bauble. This is going to be the 4th type for Dragon's Rage Channelers. They are going to get in for 3 this turn. Hopefully we're going to get in for a lot more in the very near future. Let's cast this. You going to Pyroblast me? You want to Pyroblast it now so that we don't get the card draw, but they might try and bait us into playing a Dreadnought. We get killed by an old-fashioned spell pierce. Just a Daze. No, you can Daze. Be my guest. They kept Forces in. They know that we have this Tamiyo on top. If we don't play that, that's kind of suspicious, but I quite like playing a Tamiyo around a Daze here. Going to take another hit from his Channeler, most likely. This has to attack, so there's no choice in the matter for our opponents, but they would certainly want to attack on this board state. Lightning Bolt targeting the Tamiyo. You got it. If our opponent goes for like a big Murktide right now, we could steal it. That'd be pretty cool. A Ratchet Bomb. Yeah. I'm willing to get this down. We take one more hit from the Channeler, but then we can pop it, take out their pressure, force them into doing something else. Maybe we can slam some Dreadnoughts soon. This is a 10, which is a little bit precarious, but it's not a multiple of 3, which is kind of a big deal. Another land. Our opponent probably doesn't want to be seeing lands here. Let's put a charge counter on this artifact. They're going to borrow it. They are. Sure. They're just keeping us slightly off balance this whole time. I could just play a Gilded Drake right now and try and fight our opponent that way. I could try another Ratchet Bomb here, but this is coming in soon as well that we're going to have to keep an eye on. I think we need to get the Dress Down in. I think that's what we're doing. We're just trying to make all the damages. I guess we get rid of this Ratchet Bomb now, since we're not going to be blowing up our own Dreadnoughts. I don't think we have enough time to do something else, is the problem. If we try and play it slowly while we're constantly taking damage, it's just going to be a bit too much. Alright, Dragon's Rage Channeler, in you come. I'm very worried about Pyroblast here. I think our opponent is likely to win this game, but they might not have it, and then they're in significant trouble to 24 power of trample damage. I think they're just stone cold dead to that. Unless they can burn us out, which is possible. I think they want to hold up the Brazen Borrower, and that gives them Lightning Bolt as a potential win. Let's go for Dress Down, please. Pyroblast time. It is the Pyroblast, or the Red Blast even. Okay. So this means they're not playing Brazen Borrower at least. Our Murktide not actually very large. In fact, our Murktide is very small. I could go for like the Gilded Drake line here and then bounce it on the following turn. Or I could just Petty Theft out this guy now. And then we're just going to pass it over. We could Borrower this turn and just use it as a 3-mana removal spell. Or we could bounce this and try and tap our opponent out of mana and maybe we get to resolve something more exciting. If we bounce it, it's more likely to work because it's not going to be dazeable and it's also going to be not removable by Lightning Bolt. I think we're just going to be a little bit behind this entire game. But we get to be on the play for game 3, which makes all the difference. And we get those Pyroblasts and those Hydroblasts in our deck that I meant to put in. Another Red Blast. This is going to put us to 4 life, which means if we crack this fetch, we are dead to Lightning Bolt, which is not really where I want to be. They have a Brazen Borrower here as well. This probably has to be a Brainstorm and go big turn. It's not very big, is it? If we make a Murktide, it's not enough because of this. If we... yeah, we're going to have to put these 2 back. I'm going to go to 3 and our opponent's probably just going to bolt us in response anyway. Brainstorm again. I think our opponent has us here. I'm just going to go to game 3 and make sure we have enough time. We've got loads of time actually, but I don't think we're beating our opponent's Borrower there. Let's go to Hydroblast that I wanted in the first place. And we can take out a Force of Will and a Ratchet Bomb for them. Do I want Daze back in on the play? It's certainly better on the play. Maybe the Gilded Drake wasn't as useful as I wanted it to be. That gets us a Daze. I like making our big guys. I think that is a solid path to victory. Do we want the Gilded Drakes at all? Like, stealing a Murktide is great, but it's not good against our other threats. Maybe we just have 2 Dazes in. No, we're just getting killed by the little guys. I think we can outclass their big guys. Maybe the Gilded Drakes are better in other matchups. Okay. Seems like a reasonable place to start, doesn't it? I don't want to be wastelandable, so I'm not going to get my Flooded Strand down. If we wait an additional turn, we can Stubborn Denial to keep the Phyrexian Dreadnought safe. I guess it's just going to see what we draw and go from there. Maybe we do want more forces in, but 1-for-1 removal or interaction tends to be better in these grindy tempo mirrors. Get this island down, we'll pass. I don't think we're going to be... we could like Stifle and mess our opponent up this way, but I would rather use that Stifle to make a Dreadnought. There is a Bauble. What do we have on top of our library? Another land. I think it's worth... is it worth wastelanding here and just maybe trying to get a non-game? Yeah, I'm down for that. A Brainstorm. So they might know their Brainstorm locked here. I might even Stifle a fetch. That Brainstorm did feel kind of desperate. It's a Wasteland. Oh dear, opponent. So we didn't have to worry about Daze. Let's play a Dreadnought. How do you like these apples, opponent? Oh, I don't think they like those apples very much. If we can untap, I think our chances of winning this game are in the 90% category. Yeah, they're in cleanup. Look at this beautiful wastelanded non-game. You gotta love it. We have a hard counter spell for any non-creature spell. And they're now seeing a fresh card from this Brainstorm for the first time, I think. It's a Flooded Strand. It's got to be a Brazen Borrower here. I don't think they've got a hard counter, otherwise they would have used it earlier. Stop the Dreadnought coming into play. And because the way they brainstormed, if you're brainstorming and you've got nothing, you're going to put the free spells you can cast into your hand. So let's just Stubborn Denial this. Alright, we managed to win the match. Who needs red in your tempo deck? Just play Mono-Blue. Excellent stuff. Let's go to round 4. This hand is not sparking joy within me, but we're on the draw. If we can brainstorm our way to another land, we can get things moving. It's just, if our opponent Thought Seizes us, we don't hit a land, this hand is real bad. And we don't really have any interaction. Like we could mulligan and we basically get the same hand. Similar pieces, to be honest. Am I going to believe in Brainstorm? I'm going to believe in Brainstorm. If there's one card that you're going to believe in, it should be Brainstorm, right? Swamp. Thoughtseize. Take your Brainstorm. There we go. They might take the Dreadnought. They might be fearful. We are very much at the mercy of the top of our deck, though. They took the Brainstorm correctly. I did mention that this is a thing that could happen and would be bad. And lo and behold, here we are. Much dressing down is happening. I think we have to get ourselves a Surveil land. Just finding that next land is so important. Once we start chaining these dress downs just to draw cards even is reasonable. Or if we get our land Wastelanded, that's really going to be a big blow. But I don't think we get that choice now. I don't think we want this. It is free interaction, but that's not what we're looking for. Bingo. There we are. All is right in the world. I've seen Stifles picking up in some decks lately, so I am going to fetch around Stifle because we're going to fetch anyway. We may as well do it now. But I've seen like the Felia decks run Stifle, and they're mainly Bant or blue-white, but I have seen a couple of Esper builds pop up. And they tend to run the Stifle because you can stifle the Warp trigger or on the Riddler, or you can stifle Felia's return trigger on one of your opponent's things so it never comes back. Okay, we're in Grixis. Don't like that very much. What are you revealing to me? Just a ponder. Okay. We get to draw the card from this because it's only one card a turn. So this does work for us. Can I have a Dreadnought, please? I can have a Dreadnought. Useful. We've got a bunch of counter magic to back this up now. So we've got the Force of Will and the Daze. Our opponent knows our hand is just full of spells. They do know that some of them aren't the most exciting spells in the world. Alright, Narset, what are you going to find? Colligan's Command. There it is. I don't want you to destroy my artifact. A Brainstorm. You can Brainstorm because we have the Daze to cover whatever they play next. So if they're looking for a Force of Will, we can nail that. They might already have a Force of Will in their hand. They're just looking for the most amount of information before they pitch and choose what they're pitching. No Colligan's Command for you. I think I'm interested. No, I'm not interested in Brainstorming. Hold on. There's a Narset in play. Let's attack our opponent's face with a Dreadnought. I believe our opponent does not have a Force of Will in hand, so I'm going to now also play a Murktide Regent. Let's get that going. We have two lethal threats backed up by a Daze. The Daze is very unlikely to counterspell anything this turn. But if they go for big 3-mana plays, maybe. They need to answer 2 creatures. If they point an edict at us, I think we actually sacrifice the Dreadnought. Because I think they have more removal that hits the Dreadnought than the Murktide. But I guess if they have they probably just fire it in the correct order, right? They just go, okay, Fatal Push on your Dreadnought, and now I will edict your Murktide Regent. They shuffled off that Ponder. And we win the game. Beautiful stuff. To the sideboard. I would very much like to have access to some Hydroblasts, I think. Not really sure we need much else here. I don't know what our opponent's creatures are going to be. Probably Orcish Bowmasters. Would I like to steal an Orcish Bowmaster? You wouldn't steal an Orcish Bowmasters. Do I want more Dismembers? I don't think so. Just a case of these Gilded Drakes. So we could have some Ratchet Bombs for our opposing Tamiyos. I think we need to be aggroing a fair bit here. So we probably have to keep our forces in. Maybe take out a Daze and just have another Dismember. Or should it be a Gilded Drake? I take a Gilded Drake. Just mix that up a little bit. They're going to have some good answers to Dreadnought. We've already seen main deck Colligan's Command, for example. They're probably going to have Fatal Pushes. But we just need to get over the finish line. Okay. This is 2 Dreadnoughts on turn 3 if we find a land, and we get to turn 1 Ponder looking for a land. Unless our opponent just Thoughtseizes us and takes our Ponder, and then we're just in a very similar position to the start of game 1. And that one worked out. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to in similar situations. We're surveilling. They're on 6 cards as well. And they like the card they see. Give me some Ponder action, please. Is this Ponder or is this Wasteland on your Undercity Sewers? On your 3-colour deck? Alright, I'm not one to pass up a potential non-game. Playing an Undercity Sewers on turn 1 isn't a big show of strength. Oh, we're going to lose our Ponder. Absolute punished for Wasteland in there. Absolute punished. Okay, we have a Stifle. That can stifle their next fetch land if we're just trying to keep them off of mana. Okay, that's not a fetch land. The mana denial plan is a failure. Ugh. Okay, you can take my dress down. We still have a Stifle, but our opponent is doing a good job of messing up our hand. But at some point we will be able to put a threat into play. And the question is, will they be able to answer it when that time comes? So Ponder, that's an absolute banger. They will Pyroblast this if they have a Pyroblast. They did not have a Pyroblast. Good news. I want lots of these cards. I guess we put the Ponder on the bottom, then the Tamiyo, and then the Scalding Tarn, because we want to play it this turn. If we have to Stubborn Denial something like really scary, we can do that. And next turn we can just play Tamiyo, and just ride that little train. A Ponder. I'm not fighting over a Ponder, especially at the cost of our Tamiyo on the top of our deck. Little Swamp. We have a Ponder on top of our library, which I'm also interested in keeping. So I'd like to not have to fetch land here for anything. And we just ride the Tamiyo card advantage to the bank. A Baleful Strix. Sure. We obviously trample over that quite a bit, but I think that's fine. So now we can get that Ponder off the top of our library and fire off a Ponder. Murktide Regent isn't where you want to be. I don't really want the Wasteland. I think this is in any order in shuffle. A Brainstorm. Is our opponent trying to Bowmasters us out here? Would they have Bowmastered in response to our Ponder? I think so. And then we're going to attack with a Tamiyo and then cast a Brainstorm. Pyroblast is good here. Bowmasters is good here. I think you Bowmasters for the Ponder if you have the Bowmasters. There's the Reb. Sure. So we're unfortunately going to lose our Tamiyo here. We did get a clue out of it. The opponent's down to 2 cards. We might just be able to dump some Dreadnoughts in their lap soon. I would really like a third land, so I can go Stifle, Dreadnought, plus Stubborn Denial. We can also just make a Murktide now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 things in, so it'll be a pretty large Murktide. Now is that Murktide going to get through a Baleful Strix? Probably not. A Narset. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good way of undoing a mulligan. Brainstorm is a mighty fine Magic the Gathering card. Thoughtseize in me. Yikes. What do they take here? The Stifle? See the Stifle? Okay, they took a Murktide. Our opponent is pulling ahead now. Okay, we're going to go for a dress down into multiple Dreadnoughts next turn. And then 24 Trample is just going to be enough to get through this Baleful Strix. What fresh horrors is this Narset going to reveal? Kaito. Interesting. We can Stifle this. But I think I just want to get some Dreadnoughts in. And then we can Stifle the tap down of the Kaito. Like, our opponent is going to get some extra cards. And that might go poorly for us. But I think this line is the best way of actually winning the game. Which is what we're interested in. I want to win rather than lose slowly. And then Brainstorm. So that's all the cards out of their hand. We will draw a card if it's dressed down because Narset is just 1 card per turn. That's normally your draw step. But if we draw a card in our opponent's turn, it's also fine. No Pyroblast available. I'm going to see a Force here. Has our opponent boarded out all the Forces. Another Dreadnought. Just give us a land. Just make us play all the Dreadnoughts. Dreadnought. Dreadnought. We only need 1 of these to connect to win the game. We've got a Force of Will. Our opponent goes to 11. That's huge because that means the Brazen Borrower, the Baleful Strix can't save them. Like, they could tap 1 down and block 1 and go to 1 if they had 12 life, but they don't get to do that now. Colligan's Command. They have 4 mana up, probably a Red Blast. Which is the most important thing to pitch here? Stubborn Denial or the Stifle? I think it's the Stubborn Denial, actually. Because the Stifle can protect from a Kaito activation, can also just make another Dreadnought. Here comes a Red Blast. There it is. So now the Kaito taps us down. They bash in for a little bit. We make another Dreadnought. So they can kill off their Stifle to tap down our Dreadnought. But we still have the Dreadnoughts, and they're going to have to remove them eventually. And then we hopefully follow up with a Murktide that is lethal. Colligan's Command. And we discard this. Ugh. That was a very good Colligan's Command. Disgusting. So that's going to attack. And we need to find, like, a Stifle to stop this next Kaito. Are they just going to draw extra cards, or are they going to put a counter on? I guess they can put a counter on next turn. Probably play out their Baleful Strix now. No, they're just keeping that. Maybe that's their blue card for Force of Will. Alright, just petty thefting our poor defenseless guy. Let's play Dreadnought. Let's consign it in. They buy so much time by just binning off the Kaito. Yeah, that second Colligan's command is probably the thing that ends up tipping this one. But we can still win. Our opponent does have to have either the pressure or the answers. Because if they can tap our Dreadnought down and beat us down quick enough before it untaps, and that's okay. They got Brazen Borrower. That's 3, 6, 9. Is that enough? So it's 2 stun counters. So we untap once and we don't. We untap twice and we don't. We untap the third time and we kill them. So we have them just beat on that clock. If they play the Baleful Strix, they can go Brazen Borrower, Baleful Strix this turn. Tap it down. Next turn they attack us for 4. We don't untap, then they attack for 4 and we die. Yep, I think this line works for our opponent. Looking forward to being on the play in game 3. So this presumably gets them a blue... No, they've already got the blue source, so it doesn't really matter. Ponder. What? I think they have the win here, right? They've now tapped out of blue. So now they hit us for 1, we go to 7 next turn. Oh, okay. That'll do it, won't it? Oh, Barragoyf, why do you exist? We're just dead on board now. Okay. Maybe I do want some Gilded Drakes for these Barragoyfs. And also the Baleful Strix is kind of annoying. Getting them out of the way might help. So let's say we want another one of these. And we can cut a Force of Negation. I wouldn't mind another Daze back in the mix either. How do we fit in a Daze? Are we shedding a Ponder? Maybe shed a Ponder here. Let's get other Daze in. Do I like the Borrower that much? So maybe we just keep this in, this Ponder in, so we can have the Daze and go to Drake. Okay. This seems reasonable. Not really feeling this one. Let's mulligan. Alright, this is more like it. What are we bidding off? I think it's most likely the Stifle here. We can just set off with our Tamiyo. Our opponent's not running Wastelands, so we might be able to do something with Undercity Sewers at some point for value. Hopefully, for our perspective, this will just be a game where Tamiyo runs away with things because it's a busted magic card. There's an island. That's probably not going to deal with the Tamiyo. Alright, we're already starting to pull ahead. The joys of Tamiyo gaming. I'll crack this now. And I'll draw from this clue. I was going to say I'll draw in the upkeep, but we'll draw in a second. If they tap out, then we'll do it. Otherwise, we'll do it in the upkeep. Or do I want to... Actually, no. We want to sell the illusion that we have a Daze here. It does potentially play into Bowmasters. Do we even need to crack the clue? I don't think we do. Let's cast a Ponder. Can Daze a Bowmaster. Don't really want these cards. Consign isn't the best. There are the Bowmasters we knew about. Let's just Daze it. Ooh, it's good enough for a Force of Will, is it? In that case, I will stubborn denial your Force of Will. Big exchange for us there. And then we're still representing a Brainstorm. We don't have it, but our opponent doesn't know that. And these clues are still hanging around. And we can crack them at some point. If Tamiyo was you had to pay 2 when you attacked and to draw a card, it would be so much more balanced. Consign to Memory might not be doing the most right now. Our opponent can play... Okay, they've just assembled the Grixis mana base. So we're not looking at a Nasa or anything. A Red Blast. Okay. Tamiyo kind of already did its job. Orcish Bowmasters is a card that exists that we need to play around if possible. We can also Surveil land. A Vista. Let's crack this and get our Surveil land. A Ponder. Do you have Bowmasters here? They fought really hard over the first one, so I wasn't expecting them to have a second one, but they do. A little bit frustrating. Makes our Ponder a lot worse on top of our library as well. Gilded Drake, Steel, Orcish Bowmaster? No, we have a Dress Down. We can certainly Dress Down and do some stuff with it. This allows us to Ponder through the Bowmasters. And we could Ponder into a Dreadnought that we can then chuck into play as well. I don't think they have another mountain, so they can't Pyroblast this one off of a Prismatic Vista. Tamiyo is interesting. I think Ponder is where I want to be, though. Force of Will, Murktide Regent, Wasteland. Okay. And I'll play this Tamiyo out, because this can block the Orkami token really effectively. Next turn we can play a big Murktide with Force of Will backup. If our opponent drops something like a Narset, I think we have to Force of Will that. Because we can't afford to let them have 2 cards out of nowhere. Okay, something is happening in the end step. Are we just trying to find a removal spell for our Tamiyo here? Just another island. If you're using a Petty Theft on something that isn't my Murktide Regent, then sign me right up for that one. It's a Ponder. So the chance of them having a decent card in their hand is certainly higher this turn cycle. But we can beat 1 good card in their hand. They declined to use Ponder's ability, so they liked what they saw. Now we're going to take a little bash. They are representing Koziligan's Command, which I'm not wanting to resolve, to be honest with you. What are they going to do? They're going to Kaito in. Ugh. I guess. That sucks for us. Now we can beat this in a weird way. We can Murktide and then we can dress down so this doesn't have any abilities in our opponent's turn. Which I think is fine. Just make it big. A lot of interesting back and forth in this game. It's been a cool round. And when our opponent is tapped out here, I think we play the dress down in end step. In our end step. A Wasteland. Not the most amount of text on that Wasteland. But they can't activate Kaito to tap our Murktide down, and the Murktide can come across and kill it next turn. We need to survive. I guess they can jam in. Okay, this isn't resolving. Say no to this. 2 cards left in hand. You got Pyroblast. They got a Brainstorm. Leaving up Pyroblast mana, obviously. How many do they have in their deck? 2 to 3, I would imagine, post board. This means they can't cast a Brazen Borrower to defend the Kaito either, which is big news. We need them to miss on the Red Blast here. If we can wipe this Kaito off, we'll be in an okay-ish spot. At some point, we'll find a way of cracking this clue. We'll get a good spot to do that in. Tamiyo can block this Bowmasters for a bit. Murktide Regent is going to be a 3-turn clock after it's dealt with Kaito. So that's quite a lot of this game left to play either way. Unless our opponent just Red Blasts here. They did not Red Blast. They can obviously just Red Blast the Murktide at some point. Right, we are shuffling off the Vista. Do you have another basic? If they're running Prismatic Vistas, they've got to have more than 4 basics. Yeah. Is this going to be another Edict? No attacks, I would imagine. I'm going to play out this Tamiyo. I'm going to play out this Brainstorm. Sorry, this Wasteland, because I don't want to hold up Brainstorm because they have a Bowmasters in play already. If they do anything to deal with my Murktide, I can crack this. Good old-fashioned Terminate. Or do we just get to kill the Kaito? Okay, the Kaito is gone. We're in control of this game. This game has been back and forth the entire time. All the games in this round have. It's been a wonderful round of Magic. It's quite stressful, but wonderful gameplay, I think. A Brainstorm. You got it. So we're going to be left with 2 cards after this. They're still not deploying the Brazen Borrower, so we do get to rumble in with the Murktide. If they crack 2 more fetches or Thoughtseize us once, then the Murktide is a 2-turn clock. So they're going to be not wanting to shuffle away Brainstorm. Another Brainstorm after this. A Red Blast. I'm going to sacrifice this clue token. This will give our opponent a Bowmaster ping. We only drew a Tamiyo, so not the best. Gonna need a little bit of help here, deck. Another Murktide isn't that big. I'll take a Borrower, I guess. Flooded Strand. That is not the one, is it? Is it worth getting a clue token here? Probably. But 2 damage here is a bit more than I would like to take. We could just turn this into a clue. I think we're just going to hold back and try and keep our life total topped up. We're representing Hardcast Force of Will, which is an important thing to represent, I think. Alright, we can crack 1 more clue without too much hassle. But our opponent has this Brazen Borrower, which is huge. This feels like we're about to get jammed up. Or they're just pushing 1 damage. Okay, that's fine. Deck, could you not? I'll play this out. Again, I don't think we are attacking here. I think we have to soak up that Brazen Borrower with damage at this point. We need to draw like Gilded Drake into Brazen Borrower. Our opponent is ahead again. Their deck is designed to prey upon tempo decks, to be fair, and we've run them pretty darn close because we have like this sort of combo edge in our deck. But I think we've gotten to the stage where the grinding is firmly in our opponent's favour. I think we just soak up 3 damage here. Give ourselves more draw steps. We can play a 4/4 Murktide Regent if we find one. But our opponent's obviously a Hydroblast deck. Okay, we're just not going to win this one. We're just drawing lands. We've bottomed out pretty hard here. It was a really sweet game though, and our opponent ended up in a good position. We needed a little something here. We couldn't get it. I thought when they missed on the Brainstorm for the Red Blast, we were absolutely sorted. But alas, they found it immediately in the next turn. Waterlogged Teachings. Wowzers, trousers. What are they going to find? Another Borrower? Or a Colligan's Command? Yeah, Colligan's Command's pretty good here. They can make us discard one of our terrible cards. And also shoot us in the face for 2. We're definitely having to chump block again. If they hit us down to 4 here, and then they Colligan's Command us, then even a Murktide doesn't cut it for us here. Because the Murktide can block this, but the Colligan's Command puts us 2, and they have 2 damage getting through. I don't think we have a way out of this one. And we're going to draw another land anyway. Oh, we drew a Dreadnought. Not the one. GG's opponent. They were a really sweet set of games. Unfortunately, we didn't quite come out on top. Alright, so we are 2-2 going into the final round. Let's see if we can get the positive record. We can't cast any spells. We're going to mulligan. Island Ponder and some other useful tools. Murktide Regent, you are a problem, or our enemy's problem later on. Let's grab an island and ponder. Looking for another land drop. And that's pretty much it. We'll see what else is around it, but I'll take most piles that have a land in, I would think. Okay, so we can put this on the bottom. Then the land, then put the Daze in the hand for now. Cool. Ponder, you got it. Misty Rainforest. I do like the Brainstorm underneath, but I think we just want to jam quickly. Dreadnought. Stifle. We got a Daze and a Force of Will to back this up. Let's Daze this Force of Will. We got the big boy. We just got a Force of Will to back it up. But our opponent's already burned a Force of Will, so they really didn't want it to come into play. That suggests they don't have an easier, simpler answer. Or they're worried that we have counter spells and they want to just throw everything at it, is the other option. Thunder Trap Trainer. Sure. That's a fairy. Okay, that's the thing that we're going to have to Force of Will next turn. Let's get stuck in. They've already burned their Force. I don't think they have another one. A Brainstorm. Huh. So they're more... So this is them choosing to try and find, like, Swords to Plowshares plus Force of Will. That's pretty good news for us. Alright, they've had enough. They have this fairy. They could have just played this and tried to bounce our guy. Surprised they didn't go for that. Alright, what do we want here? They look like they're going to be on the big sort of control end of things. Which probably means we want to just have more defensive spells and go that way. They might also be a failure deck. So we probably want the Dismember for that. The Gilded Drake not very good against failure as a general rule. I guess we'll just trade a couple of Dazes into these. I think when we're against control decks, we want to play a bit more like a combo deck. So we just slap down a big guy and ride it to victory very quickly. Now, we can't always be guaranteed to have access to our Phyrexian Dreadnought. Also, our opponent could be other colours. We finished the game quite quickly and didn't get to see the whole of their deck. Yeah, we can ponder. We've got the combo in hand with a little bit of protection along the way. I could just give our opponent something to worry about with this Tamiyo. Or I could ponder and then do that next turn. Just give him something to worry about with the Tamiyo. The downside here is if our opponent has a Swords to Plowshares, they can fire it off straight away. Maybe we're supposed to board out a Wasteland against our opponent. Okay, they didn't have a Swords to Plowshares. Certainly not one they were willing to point at a Tamiyo unless they want to play it around a Daze and they think that's more important. Which it might well be. I assume we're getting... Oh, just I thought we'd get planes here. So they are Jeskai. They're playing around Stifle because we've already shown that they were playing it. A Red Blast. You got it. I would like to ponder here. I don't really want this Undercity Sewers. I do like the other two cards here. Alright, we'll just impact our opponent's mana base a little bit. They're very cagey around fetching around a Stifle, which kind of gives me the impression their mana base needs securing. This could just be Jeskai Wizards. Let's go for another Tamiyo. Make this our opponent's problem. So if we wait on the Dreadnought, we might draw into more Dreadnoughts somewhere along the lines. And then we can get 2 down off of 1 dress down. Right, they have assembled the Jeskai Tron. Do we get a clue? We get a clue. Let's get our Sewell land in. Brazen Borrower. That's fine, but it's not really what I want. And now we can hold up Clue Crack / Dress Down in their end step. 3 mana, Jeskai, drawing some cards off of Flame of Anor, I would assume. Just drawing 2 cards. Don't want to Stubborn Denial this. I don't think so. No, I can use a Stubborn Denial to protect the Dreadnought once it's in play. I think the majority of the time that works out better for us. This guy. Don't like this guy. Not one bit. I think I'm going to crack this clue. Okay, you can have your Teferi. You're going to bounce my Tamiyo, or you're just going to plus? I think you want to plus in case we get Dreadnought out. Okay. They've given us a window to make a Dreadnought, but we can't defend it with counter spells because of this annoying little guy. A Tamiyo of their own. Sure. Okay, I think we're going to just get a Planeswalker Tamiyo going. Give our opponent some troubles. We can't protect anything with counter magic. Let's Brainstorm here. Okay, I guess we get rid of these 2 counter spells we don't get to do anything with. Dreadnought is also unplayable with the Stifle. How are we supposed to navigate this? We have 3 cards that do nothing in our hand. Which one is most likely to do something at some point? None of them. Is the truth of the matter. What's this? Let's get shuffling. We didn't have a great immediate answer to Teferi. Our plan is usually to stop it resolving. Unfortunately, we failed that test a little bit. Stubborn Denial being worse than Spell Pierce in that situation. They've got a clue. They're going to start grinding some value. We can get back a Ponder if we want to, or we can just kind of race upstairs. And if they want to minus the Tamiyo... Oh, we just put you to the bottom card. What are we doing? Alright, let's cast this Dress Down. There's like a million ways this goes badly for us. Our opponent can like Red Blast this. They could... Oh, Force of Will. Not the one. Let's go for a Dreadnought. The Dreadnought is in. Our hand is all reactive spells. That's so bad. Don't want to cash in. I don't think we're going to be able to race to the top with this. I think I'm just going to go and get back a Ponder here. Actually, no, we need a Brainstorm. We've already played our land for turn, which was a mistake. But we can have that for next turn at least. I suspect we're looking at like Prismatic Ending on our guy. I think may have lost our window here. Like our opponent's deck is designed to prey on tempo decks. And we're a tempo deck that's got an A plus a B in it, which makes it even easier for them to break up. But being on the play for the 3rd game should be pretty handy. And they didn't Prismatic Ending our guy. Teferi goes up. If we can attack the Teferi and kill it, we'll feel great. But they've got Flame of Anor, which just blows up artifacts in their deck as well. Getting in with the Tamiyo. We can't flash in a Dress Down to make our Dreadnought jump in the way, because Teferi is absolutely hosing our deck right now. There is the drawing some cards and doing artifact destruction. This will give them a Planeswalker Tamiyo that's going to be on a higher loyalty than ours, because we minused ours. I think we're correct to get the value, and our opponent's just got like Prismatic Endings and Teferis and all sorts in their deck. Does Flame of Anor hit Planeswalkers as well? No. And they have an additional Tamiyo. Alright, we're losing the Tamiyo war. Another card that does literal nothing. Not the best. Ugh. It's real bad out there. There's not even any point trying to Dress Down here. So our opponent can just bounce whatever we play with the Teferi. But if we force them to bounce, then maybe that's something. I think we're just dead here. Our opponent's got 6 cards in hand. I'm going to take this Dress Down draw and then maybe scoop it up. A Brainstorm, sure. I guess we continue to play this horrible game. How many things we have? 1, 2... We don't have that many. I'm not going to remove that many instants and sorceries because I want this to be... It's going to get hit by the Dress Down, actually. But it's also... They're going to bounce it. Okay, they're just plowing it straight away. The top of our library does nothing. We have a fetch land. I think we're just going to go to game 3. Like, our opponents won this game. It's going to take them, like, 5 to 8 turns to get there. But I have full confidence in our opponent being able to win this game. Do I want to do anything differently here? Hydroblast or Red Blast is an option, but I don't think that's one we're taking. Daze on the play look a little bit more tempting. They're not doing Felia stuff. They are doing Tamiyo stuff, though. I think we just try and go around the Tamiyo. We need to make sure Teferi doesn't resolve. That's our main game plan. I think our deck is very, very weak to Teferi. in multiple ways, in basically every way imaginable. Like our creature that we're trying to get into play requires us to cast a spell at instant speed, like in the Stifle. And then our creature, once it's in play, if it's bounced, we have to assemble stuff to make it work again. So it's just a whole heap of trouble for us. I don't really like this Wasteland. Do I want to keep this hand? I think I will, because we have an answer for Teferi. And we can still ponder. That's, you know, a pretty good start of any game of Legacy. Getting to see a few more cards, move some bits and pieces around. Alright, ponder. Hook me up. I like the Tamiyo. I quite like the Daze as well. We don't get all of these is the problem. Which two of these we want to have next turn? Definitely the Tamiyo is one of them. Do we just want to get blue sources going? I think we just want to get blue sources going, don't we? So we'll put the Daze down. Then we can play Tamiyo with Stubborn Denial and Force of Negation to keep it alive. Maybe try and grind this to victory. Are they going to play their own Tamiyo? We don't have an answer for it right now. Ponder. The other option was we put the Daze in our hand and then the Tamiyo second. And then we use the Wasteland. And that gives us Daze for this turn cycle. But how many Force Spikes do we realistically need? Let's play out the Tamiyo and then we can decide if we want the Daze based on what our opponent does. It is a nice, easy answer to Teferi. But our opponent is already showing us they're playing things like Pyroblast, which is going to be real good at slapping us about. But right, they're cracking this first to see if we stifle or not. A prismatic ending. Do we fight over this? What are we doing if we don't? The top of our library is a Daze. I think I'm going to crack this and get an Undercity Sewers. And make a decision based on what we see on top. A Daze. I don't really want this Daze. How much do I think this is going to go well for us? This leaves us so shields down to Teferi though. Okay, I think we have to let this go. A bit awkward. Force of Will, nice of you to show up. I will deploy this Wasteland and we're not really doing anything right now. We can try and Stifle to keep our opponent off of red mana. That shuts them off of Pyroblast and things. Tamiyo. No, thank you. I guess we'll use a Stubborn Denial. It's a very easy thing for our opponent to play around. And we're going to Pyroblast this. And we should have stifled that fetch. It's ridiculous we have to spend this many cards to deal with the Tamiyo. Like, we're obviously playing Tamiyo ourselves, so we're certainly not innocents in this situation. But we should have just stifled their fetch sound. I even said I was going to do that by pass priority too quickly. Address down. Not very helpful. We can cast at end of turn to try and fish a little bit. Brainstorm is good. Yeah, I think that was a massive punt not to press the pass priority button when I said I was going to stifle the land. I don't think we're dressing down when they have like lots of Pyroblast available. Main phase. Thunder Trap Trainer. Yep. Our opponent's just got way more card advantage. I think our window to win this game is falling apart. Supreme Verdict, you say? I guess we cast this. I don't know how we beat that Supreme Verdict, though. I guess our opponent never finds white-white. A Brainstorm. Let's cast a Brainstorm. This hand does nothing. We have to draw through it over the course of several turns. Yuck. I think our opponent's just won this one. I just don't think we have enough going on. We kept like a cantrip to find action hand, and then our Tamiyo got done. And it just kind of fell apart from there. We're relatively... are we going to beat this? Are we able to beat Teferi plus Instant Speed Supreme Verdict in our deck? I think we're just going to scoop it up. I think our deck's just very cold to Teferi. Okay. We finished with a 2-3, but two of the rounds we lost were 1-2s that could have gone either way, really. So it felt like the deck was like a 3-2 deck that could have gone either way, and we went the lower end in terms of our result today. I think we'll have a little look at the deck now. I think this deck is totally fine. It's got a pretty reasonable game plan. What I will say is I think playing the other build I mentioned at the top with the Urza Saga just to give us that extra amount of threats is probably going to be better, because we end up with we lose the Wastelands and we gain a bunch of Urza Sagas. We also run some Ancient Tombs, which gives us the ability to play things like Torpor Orb, which is really good against some decks in the format, so it's going to stop Thundertrap Trainers from doing their thing. But more importantly, it's going to stop Oops creatures, and it's going to stop Thassa's Oracle from doing anything. And that's going to be a pretty big one. So I think we'll probably try that next time we do some Mono-Blue Dreadnought, if this video does well enough. If you like Mono-Blue Dreadnought, let me know. I think there's a lot of room to wiggle in this sort of archetype. And we certainly look pretty good into some of the other tempo decks. It was just the control decks that we're really struggling with today, and that's not really a surprise, because that's exactly what control decks are there for. They're entirely designed to pick apart decks like ours. The fact that we even went 1-2 against 2 control decks in a row, I think is a testament to the deck being pretty solid. But yeah, I'll try out the Urza's Saga build at some point and see how that feels. I don't think you need to be playing mono blue, but I think it's also fine to be doing so. You alleviate some problems because of your mana. Can be a little bit awkward, especially if you're trying to play an Urza's Saga build. But yeah, we'll give that a whirl next time around. I don't know when that'll be, maybe next month, we'll see. Hopefully lots of people like watching Dreadnought smash people up. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.